everybody, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be a compost update. So this video is going to be taking place over the past few months. Maybe one update a month, couple updates per month, might skip some months. If you've seen any of my long-term videos like trying to compost a poop bag at home, trying to compost a Pela Case at home, you know these videos are a bit sporadic, a bit chaotic, but that's how I like it. So in this video, you'll see starting my compost from scratch a little bit. If you want to see the actual building of the compost and so forth, I'll leave that video linked up here. But this video isn't the building, it's just starting to put stuff into my bin and where I am now, as well as trying to rehome my compost. So that's how we're going to end this video, is finding my compost a new home, because if you're new to this channel, I'm moving and I need to find my compost a home. Like I said, I built it from scratch from things that I sourced secondhand, so it's completely free, completely low waste, and I turned some really great organic matter into some really amazing compost. The top part isn't decomposed all the way, so I'll just have to explain that. Without further ado, let's just go ahead and jump right in. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you back here at the end. Hello everybody, it's Emma from the future, and I just want to let you know that today's video has a sponsor. It's a brand that I've supported for a long time that fits right into this video, and that is Pela Case. They are a compostable phone case that we'll touch more on later. I wanted to give you an update on my compost. So, as of today, as I'm filming this first video, I have created my compost 2 weeks ago, so everything is still, it basically looks like this. It basically looks like whole pieces. They're just rotting, which is fine. That's what it's supposed to do. But it doesn't look like compost. It doesn't look like soil or anything like it probably will in another couple weeks. Just take you along as I learn about composting and as I learn how to monitor it and stir it and balance out the greens and the browns, and just kind of show you the progress from what it looks like to having, you know, sticks and leaves and whole fruits and vegetables to actual compost one day. So this might be a long video, or at least for me, it's going to be a long time from this to the last video in this. Let's take a look at her, shall we? I just found this big stick and I use that stick to stir my compost. It's not great, honestly. If I can find a pitchfork secondhand, I would probably use that, but it does get the job done. And then as you can see kind of in the bottom of my compost, it's actually starting to like turn into soil type texture, which is really exciting and I didn't think would happen very quick. What I think I've done wrong so far is I think I put too many sticks and not enough like dead grass type in the bottom to absorb the moisture, and then I put way too many greens in before I put more browns in. So right now the bottom is a little sludge-like, and I think also because of the stick, I can't get everything completely incorporated that great. I'm not gonna add any more browns for a while. I really do think it needs more greens, and I'm gonna try to stir it as best as possible. So far so good. It's doing really great considering it's only been 2 weeks, which is really exciting. So I'm excited to take you along this composting journey with me. It's been another 2 weeks, and just real quick apology for the wind, the lawnmowers, and the cars. And the light, it's not ideal for filming right now. So yeah, as you can see, there's still a lot of pieces that are still not decomposed, a lot of vegetable scraps that are still whole, a lot of the grass is still whole, but down at the bottom it is decomposing. And keep this process going until I have some real results. If you appreciate all the time that I'm going to be putting into this video, I really would appreciate if you gave this video a thumbs up. It really does help support my channel. Hello everyone, so sorry about the quality of this video. I'm filming this one on my phone. I've got a lot of melon scraps. It's rare to find melons here, so when I find a cheap one, I snag it up. I'm gonna add it to my compost. So I figured today was gonna be a great day to do a compost update. So one thing that I've noticed with my compost, and it's really cool, is that I'll get it to the point where it's really, really full, like almost all the way to the top, and I'm like, oh no, I'm already out of room. I've only had it for like 2 months. But because it breaks down so quickly, and because it breaks down so small, it's already back down to like half the amount in the tub, and I think that's really, really cool. Something I've already been learning is that I think I've already added too many browns/dry things, and it seems like it's not decomposing as well as it probably could be. So I'm glad I added all of that melon. It's all very, very moist, wet, but I think I'm also going to add a little bit of water just to kind of soften up the browns a bit. And if I add too much, of course, I'll just add more browns in the future. So I think it's been about 2 weeks since I last checked in on the compost, and I actually brought Dan out here the other day to look at it, and he noticed a bunch of grubs and other sort of critters living in there. Oh no, it's infested, whatever, but Dan actually informed me. He's taking classes right now to earn his degree in environmental science, so he actually informed me that grubs and other sorts of small bugs in a small moderate amount is actually really good, and it's a good sign that you have healthy soil. Of course, if you've got like an infestation of flies or something, that's not good, and you'll want to do something about that. And as you can see, a lot of it down at the bottom is really starting to turn into really nice compost. For the most part, I'm really impressed at how much it's condensed, because every time I put vegetable scraps in there or I add browns, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's almost full, what am I gonna do? But thankfully, it all breaks down super quick, and as you saw, my compost bin is still only about half full, and it's been going for, I think, 2 months now. And actually, one last thing I want to do today is I need to go collect some more browns, because like you saw, I've got a lot of vegetable scraps in there right now, and I haven't added browns in a few weeks, a long time. So I'm gonna go grab just a few browns just to balance out the moisture level, make sure it's not getting too moist in there. Hello everyone, I'm back to check on my compost. It has been a while. A couple weeks ago, maybe just a week ago, it started to get really wet. So I quit adding food scraps for about a week, and I haven't looked at it since. So I'm excited to look at it today. I might have to go find some more browns if it's too wet, so we'll see. So it is definitely too wet, especially in the bottom. So what I'm gonna need to do is collect some browns, push most of the stuff off to the side, put some browns down, push it back to the other side, put some browns down, and then hopefully over the next week or so, that'll help absorb some of that moisture. I feel like it looks about the same as it did last time, though something I do want to note is that I really do think adding all of those browns really helped balance it out. It doesn't seem too soupy and gloppy anymore. It seems just about the right consistency. As you can see, a lot of it was still pretty intact and not fully decomposed yet. I just think that's a really interesting part of the whole composting cycle, is the stuff on the bottom is turned into really nice rich compost, but the stuff on top is still pretty whole, and I think that's really cool to see, like the layers. A bin that I really wish I did have, they make a bin that's kind of like an octagon. It's got a lid on one side, and then it's got a crank, so you can just manually flip it around instead of having to try to do what I do with a baby shovel. It's not ideal, but it gets the job done. Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be checking on the compost. Obviously, basically something I have noted throughout the past few weeks is that my compost is very moist. And I think that has to do heavily a lot with how humid it has been. It has been incredibly humid all of August and however far we are into September already. Today is like the first not very humid day in a long time. You can understand how humid it is here. I'm gonna look up the humidity today, because usually when I say it's not that humid, it's still 70% humidity. That's how used to 90% humidity I am. But seriously, going from 90 to 70% is just, it feels so good. And it's only 86 degrees instead of like 96. Fall's coming. That's really the key highlight from this update for today, as well as we have been getting a lot of rain and a lot of typhoons. We had 3 typhoons within 20 days. So there's that to note. I might have to go collect some browns. I haven't collected browns in a while, but I also haven't added anything to my compost in like a week. So I'm really interested to see how gross it's gotten since I've last looked at it. All of my fruit currently has rotted, which means that it's not moist anymore. I don't really know how all the science works, but basically it's not very moist anymore. All the browns are still there. I can start adding more fruits and vegetable scraps now. That's pretty much what I've been learning throughout this whole process, is just to keep an eye on it. When it gets too moist, you don't necessarily have to add any more browns because there might already be plenty of browns in there. You might just have to let everything do its thing until some of the moisture goes away. So that's what I did. I just didn't touch it for a week or so, and now it's ready to add more scraps. The only thing that I'm gonna have to research and find out more about is if there's a such thing as too many bugs. I don't know if you could tell. It's really hard to get all the bugs captured on camera, but there was a lot of ants and a lot of cockroaches. It was a little gross, I gotta admit. Why would bugs wanna live in non-healthy soil? But for compost's sake, there's such thing as too many bugs. So I'm gonna research that more. Hello, it's me again from the future with a quick message from our sponsor. So like I said earlier, Pela Case is a completely compostable phone case. And if you don't believe me, I might have already mentioned it in this video. I tried composting my Pela Case at home. So if you wanna check out that video, it will be linked down below. You don't even have to have a compost bin. I composted mine in dirt, but if you don't have a compost bin or even any dirt, you can send your phone case back to Pela and they will compost it for you. Some other key things to note with Pela is that they are a really, really soft phone case. It's not like any hard plastic phone cases. Like, look at this thing. Super, super flexible, but still really protective. I know so many people are weary about like the soft plastics and this soft bioplastic, but it works so well. I drop my phone all the time. My phone itself is not damaged. So that's something else to note, is that Pela, it might be soft, but it's so protective. And then of course you should trust Pela as a brand because they're not just any run-of-the-mill bioplastic company. They are the first ever to create this. They're also certified B Corp and 1% for the Planet company, which is super, super great. And then one last thing about Pela is that they just released their own at-home composter called Lomi. It's a pretty small compost bin that you can keep in your kitchen, under the sink, wherever it might be comfortable for you. And with the push of a button, it turns all of your waste into compost. It's super, super cool. I really want to try it out one day, but for now, let's get back to my at-home compost bin. It's looking about the same as it has looked for the past few check-ins. The bottom is definitely getting really composty. I don't know what else to call it. The bottom is looking really nice. I think I need to get a proper shovel to actually give it a good stir because this stick is just not working very well. So I think once I get it a really good mix, get everything better incorporated, then we'll really start to see some progress. Hello everyone. It has been quite a while since I've updated you on the compost. It's been nearly a month and a half. Happy November 5th. Okay, first let's look at it. I've got a lot of flies. You probably can't see from up here, but there's a lot of gnats. Not flies, just gnats. One thing I do want to mention is how quickly now it's settling. So when I first made this compost, it was taking forever for it to actually, turn into compost. Now it's turning into compost much quicker. So we'll fill up our bin very quickly. So I'm like, oh no, what are we gonna do with our food scraps? My bin is full. Well, like a week later, the bin's already back down to half full. So I think that's really cool. I've not once had to give this compost to somebody. I've been using the same bin since I created it this spring. I've still been doing about 2 of those orange buckets of food per week, and then about 1 bucket of browns per month. Maybe not even 2, maybe 1 bucket of orange per week, and then 1 bucket of browns per month. I don't collect browns very often, honestly. One last thing to note is that it really doesn't smell that bad. I thought it was gonna sit here and smell like rotting food and it was gonna attract a bunch of pests, but there's mice all around our neighborhood, so I haven't seen any mice around here. I do think I need to add more browns. I need to be better about adding browns. I'm not very good about it because it is a little bit moist. I think having 2 bins would be ideal, so that way, right now, I could let this one sit and turn into actual compost, and then I could get another bin started to add the rest of my food. Because when you keep adding food, you never let it actually get to its full potential to be added to your soil. By continuing to add my carrots, by continuing to add my banana peels, I could never actually add this to my plants. because it's still gonna have banana peels in it. But I don't feel like building another compost bin because we're leaving in like 6 months. So at that point, it wouldn't really be worth it. Once we get to the point where we're gonna leave, I'm just gonna give this whole thing to somebody to use the actual compost, to actually have this bin to use for themselves. Hello everyone. I know it's been a while since I've done a compost update, but I just don't really have much else to update on because it's kind of been the same for a long time. So should I wrap up this video? I don't know. I might let it go until we leave. Maybe I should do that. Yeah, I think I will. I think I'll let it go until we leave. And then I'll end this video with me trying to find a new home for my compost. It's really, really cool how much food I've been able to put in there and how much it's been able to decompose and just get lower and lower. But right now, all of December, it was pretty much rainy, like almost every single day. So it was really hard for me to find dry stuff. So all of December and even just today, early January, I have been putting in paper. So like a bag of flour, empty of course, or shredded up brown paper that we got in packages, stuff like that, because I can't just go out and cut dead grass because it's all wet. So that's what I've been using as my browns while it's been rainy. So I guess that's my only update for now. I will see you back here in a few months. Okay, as you can see, that is where we left off. So now it is time to get on Facebook and try to find my compost a new home. Okinawa gardeners, I think we'll try the gardening page first. Pretty much what I just said is, hello everyone, I am moving soon and have a pretty large bin full of compost. I'm looking to rehome the entire bin to someone who will use it so that these precious nutrients don't go to waste. If no one wants it, I would appreciate any guidance on where to give this compost, local farmers, etc. Interested? PM for pickup. So pretty simple, straightforward. I'm gonna hit post. Okay, it's good to go. It's live. We'll see if I get any replies. But until then, let's go dump one last load of veggie scraps into the compost. Okay, so while we wait for a reply from somebody to see if they're interested in the compost, I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned. So this is my first time ever legitimately composting. So as a child, we grew up on a property with a lot of land, and we never really had like a formal compost. We just, whenever our garden was dead, like a dead area of our garden, we would just chuck all the scraps into that area. So theoretically, yes, it was compost, but it wasn't like a compost that we had to take care of. It just did its own thing. It was out in nature. But now it's a little bit more of like a closed environment, and I have to actually take care of it slightly. I mean, it still definitely does all of the composting by itself, but it does take effort to remember to stir it, and I got really bad about remembering to stir it the last like 4 months or so. So that's why the top is a little not decomposed, but the bottom looks really, really healthy. So that's really good, is that whoever decides to inherit my compost bin, they'll just have to stir it, let it sit for a few months until it's all good to go, but it should be really healthy. So some things to note though, if you have a worm bin, you cannot add citrus and onions. It is too acidic for worms to survive. So because I don't have a worm bin, I've been throwing citrus and onions in there and it's just fine. The compost itself is still good for like a garden or anything, just not for your worms. But as you can see, it's not too acidic for bugs. There was cockroaches, spiders, ants, all living in there. Also can't compost any animal products, and so theoretically you can, but you're gonna get pests. You're gonna get things like mice, rats, if you live in an area, maybe even coyotes, foxes, and so forth, and you just don't want that. At least I don't think you do. So that stuff still needs to go into the landfill, unfortunately. There's another random perk of being vegan, I guess. And then of course you can't compost like human or animal waste, aka poop. So I just talked about this in a few videos I made about my compostable poop bags I have for our dog Denahi. So yes, the bags themselves are compostable, they will break down, but you can't actually compost them. And again, in theory, you can. You can put all of your dog poop into your compost, but then you can't use that compost on your plants that you're gonna eat, because then that's just way too much dog poop on your food. Obviously you can only compost organic materials, but that does include things like hair, fingernails, cotton, organic cotton, coffee filters made out of plastic. You can't put those in there. And again, in theory, you can put it in there, but it's not gonna break down. So cardboard is good. All sorts of fruits, vegetables are good to go. Again, if you have worms, keep that in mind. And then pretty much anything else that comes from us, like when I brush Denahi, his fur goes in there. If I pull out a clump of my hair, I'll throw that in the compost bucket, and so forth. So if you have any questions about composting, let me know down below. I'm not an expert by any means, but I have learned a lot over the last year or so that I've been doing this. And I'm excited to keep composting once we move to Vegas. I feel like if I can find a secondhand bin, like an actual proper bin, I'll do that. I really want one of those like big octagonal, how do you pronounce that word? It's like a big round bin, and then there's a crank that you use to stir it, and it's so easy. But it also depends on what kind of house we get, because we might have to do like apartment composting. If anyone lives in Vegas, let me know down below if Vegas has like a city compost program. If they do, I'm gonna be so happy. I will keep you posted on if I have someone who wants to take my compost. I really hope someone does, so that I don't have to like put this in the landfill. Okay, so the second person is on their way now. So my compost is leaving today. I'm gonna miss her. She was a good compost, but I'm really glad that someone wanted the whole bin and they're gonna be able to use the whole thing instead of just throwing away the bin or having to like chuck the compost across the road. Someone's gonna get some good use out of it, using it for like a community garden, so that's extra cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it, I guess, for the compost update. Cue the outro. And that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. I know videos like this can get really long because I film bits and pieces over months, sometimes years, but I absolutely love these videos. It's so cool to see how like my editing style changes, my vlogging style changes, how I change, and then of course seeing like how the compost changes over time too. And again, go check out the poop bag video and the Pela Case video. Those videos are so much fun to watch as well and see how that stuff breaks down over time. If you're new here, welcome. I would love if you hit subscribe. I post all sorts of things zero waste, focusing on free, easy, and fun ways to live low waste, and this kind of fits into all those. This compost bin was free, composting is free, composting is easy. People think it can be so difficult, and honestly, it can be so much fun to get to see your food waste be turned into soil and then get to use that soil on your plants. It's really, really cool process. I wish I got more into gardening here. This climate was very difficult for me to learn how to garden in, so fingers crossed we can figure it out in Vegas. We'll see. And if you found any value in this video, I'd really appreciate a thumbs up. If you have any questions about composting or any future composting videos you'd like to see from me, let me know down below and I'll get right to it once we get a compost bin in Vegas. I'll keep you posted on that process as well. But that's all that I have for today. Until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. Pela Case is a completely compostable foon. That was good.